right, so there you just heard the mega multinational intergalactic hit Teenage Dirtbag. And so, as you would probably guess, today we are joined by Wheatus.
Hello.
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 And we got the whole gang here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to run through it really quickly. Guitar, vocals, Brendan B. Brown.
Yeah.
BBB. Not Triple B.
No.
Not B3. Correct?
Yeah, no, we're good. I mean,
BBB.
yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Right, yeah, I got you. On bass, Matthew Milligan. On keyboards, Brandon Tyser. Drums, KC Murata. And backing vocals, Joey Slater and Gabrielle Sturbenz. And this is amazing. I thank you guys so much for joining.
Thanks for having us, man. It's fun to cram into a corner.
I know. This is definitely the most creative setup we've ever done.
Oh, yeah.
We were able to, obviously, where we are is the Wayne Musikfest.
Yeah.
And
Wayne,
it's
Pennsylvania.
Wayne, Pennsylvania, downtown. They've shut down the road here. It's a free festival, but this show is airing about 10 days after it happened, so if you missed it, join next year.
Yeah. Get your tickets now for next year.
Yes, that was a wonderful promo you guys did where you kept saying, get your tickets, no, it's free. Anyway,
I don't even think everybody saw that. We made that. We had just gotten home from another show, and I was like, oh, we got to cut a promo for Wayne.
We were so
And
tired.
we were trying to do it really fast, and every single one, they just kept making mistakes, and we wound up putting it up exactly the full
zero
version.
edits.
And there's a version where Brendan's like, get your tickets now, and I was like, don't get your tickets, it's a free show.
Yeah.
Do not get your tickets now.
Never mind.
Just go to the site, you'll learn all
Forget
about it. So anyway, the Wayne Musikfest, very cool.
Yeah.
They've got music going on all day. It's terrific. It is on June 10th when we're recording. Great thing. And so we were talking with Ken, who runs the festival, and he owns 118 North, and so he helped us kind of secure a space here.
Yeah, it's a weird small. So he went to college with my brother.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. And Pete and I grew up in a place where the street number was 118.
118, yeah.
So it's like, Ken's is 118. Went to school with my brother. UFOs.
Coming full circle.
Yeah, it's kind
of. I always take a moment to kind of touch on this because for the most part, our show being called Your Next Favorite Band, and it's in our show opening, it's the kind of thing where we are looking to bring on bands who are either up and coming or under the radar.
Right.
You're neither of those.
Right. We've been both.
But I think that's the part, the under the radar part, is how great your entire catalog is. And so that's what I'm hoping to illuminate here is there's probably a good chunk of people who think of you as a one-hit wonder, and it's an unfair...
Well, no, I see that. I don't mind that.
Okay.
Yeah. It depends on what kind of one-hit wonder you are.
Sure.
I had somebody one time say to me, you guys, you're a one-hit wonder, but it's more like nobody's gotten over your first song yet. And I liked that, but I also know that, like, Teenage Dirtbag is, it's very much what this band is about. It's not a one-off. It's not an anomaly.
Yeah.
So it's an identifier song for the music that I write and for the band as we feel and present ourselves live. So it doesn't a lot of bands have like a cover that's their big hit, or or their big hit doesn't sound a lot like their other stuff. And we were lucky that that's not what happened with us. And it's like fun.
And I wanted to also say, my goal, again, like I said, is I'm hoping to sit here and say it's way more than that one song.
Right.
But even the one-hit wonder thing, I kind of knew, based on anything that I knew about you, you've created such a nice, humble, grounded approach to your music that you understood that might have been a perspective that someone might have, and you're, like you said, you're okay with it.
Well, that kind of happens when you never get really big in your own country. It's like you go overseas and you're kind of famous and on TV and stuff, and you meet the Prince of England, which actually we did. Yeah,
we're going to touch on all of it. I can't wait to hear more about all that stuff.
So, it's like, if you can't get used to it, then you don't get a big head.
Well, still, I've talked to other people who that has happened to. So, but recently, so we're going to kind of touch on today and then go backwards. Sure. But right now, you're going through this massive resurgence because of the TikTok phase where they use Teenage Dirtbag to encourage people to post their Teenage Dirtbag photos.
Sure.
And then tons of celebrities started doing it, like Madonna, Lady Gaga, Terry Crews, Cheech and Chong, tons of amazing people. Way more than that list. Yeah. And so I think you even referred to it as this song has flared up probably like a bout of gout. at different points, and it has
Too
created
much cheese.
Yeah, too much cheese. Yeah, but anyway, like there were two in particular that I hoped you would touch on because I think they were the two that stuck out to you, and maybe you shared. There's probably other new ones. One was Heidi Klum.
Oh yeah, she's
she sang on back up on stage with you.
Yeah, she's an old friend of ours. So
Yeah.
way back when we first came out, I think a lot of people were skeptical about us as a band.
Sure.
It wasn't quite pop. It had metal aspects to it, but it was this quirky song that was too long to be a single. And there were like a small handful of people who were already pretty established who were sort of oddly willing to pair up with us. Heidi was one of them.
Yep.
And she came on stage during this like super ritzy fashion show that they accidentally booked us at, where we were playing for the MTV's Fashionably Loud in Milan.
Right.
Which is like, like a level of like fashion industry glamour that I just don't have any understanding of, or
Sure.
we couldn't fit into. So it was always very much like in the early days, I can't wait till they find out who we really are and kick us out of here. A bunch of schmucks from Long Island. But Heidi was different because she reached out. She wanted to be on stage with us and sing the song. She really just didn't care what other people thought about it.
Yep.
And stepped up, and it was one of those like embracing moments. Alicia Keys did the same thing.
Yeah, that was the other one on the list here.
Yeah.
Where those two who did it meant more to you than maybe a lot of. I mean, all of them meant something, but those two hit home a little bit more.
Yeah, they just kind of personally reached out and made themselves available without consideration of like, because we weren't Coldplay, we didn't have like the nod of like international coolness or anything like that. We were just these idiots. So it was nice. It was nice to be included and partnered up with people who had much more to risk than we did.
Risk, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So any other favorites from the rest of the band, like for people who did the TikTok, like who?
Miranda Lambert.
Miranda Lambert.
Colin Hay.
Colin Hay. He's great.
It was a lot.
There was- you were
So overwhelming.
yeah.
Sure.
It was, yeah. We were. I mean, a big one that I just thought like Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
Like honestly, at that moment, it was like we were trying to work. We were getting together and rehearsing, and
Yeah.
we would like start playing a song, and it would just be like, stop. Mark Ruffalo just did it. And all we could do was freak out for like 10 minutes. It was just the most insane thing to keep. It just kept happening.
Yeah, it was like two solid weeks of like
It was endless.
Quincy
like
Jones.
holy
Quincy
shit, Quincy
Jones.
Jones! Like it was moments of like being stunned like over and over
That's
again.
awesome.
And the
Yeah.
universality, like Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Katie Couric.
Yep.
Do you remember Katie Couric?
Katie Couric,
Yeah.
Brooke Shields. That was the thing, like how it was not just music. It felt like it covered all types of people, like athletes who I had never heard of because it's not my like.
Right.
It was just the wildest. Like it was amazing.
There was some too where because I was watching compilations because I was going to try and bring it in, but people already know what the heck it is. They don't need to see me replay any of them. But it's like. I was like, "You're not that. That's not that bad." Like, it's like, they were like,
so-
"Look at this picture," and I'm like, "Yeah, it looks like you're going to church."
So that was also interesting. The array
Yes.
of what people consider to be like
Their dirtbag moment.
Their dirtbag moment. Like somebody, I forget who it was. Somebody famous was like, "Here's me on the hood of a police car,"
Yes.
and somebody else, Katie Couric, I think, was like, "Here's me picking flowers with my mother." I was like, How is this appealing
took
to
it
both
as
of you?
literal dirt.
Yeah.
In a bag.
Actual dirt.
Look at me
Yeah,
take
yeah,
this
yeah.
dirt out of a bag.
Yeah.
But it was nice that it was so like no matter how people took it, we were saying like it was so positive.
Oh, totally.
And it was very like
Yep.
we're used to a lot of snark over our many years as a band
Yep,
online
yep.
and stuff. Like that's just been we're very used to that. So to be associated with something that felt so positive
Sure.
was really like easily my favorite thing about it was how positive the whole thing was, and it just felt very celebratory. And
That was
I
awesome.
don't know, that was really nice.
Yes, and I'm happy for you all to get that resurgence to come back to, being able to recognize how great that song is, and then hopefully it has people peek into the catalog
Yeah.
and check out other things. So let's roll it back a little bit. On this show, a lot of times we go back to the beginning, and so from Northport,
Yes.
and you were writing music kind of by yourself, and then hooked in your brother Peter.
Yeah. I was in a lot of other bands though. I was
Right.
a lead guitar player for like 3 or 4 other bands. wrote a record for another band that came out on A&M. I signed a management contract or the band I was in signed a management contract with Kenny Laguna, which was Joan Jett's label, and we toured opening for her on the East Coast for a couple of weeks.
Sure.
This was all the 90s, and
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
getting some experience, and by the time the Wheatus thing was beginning to take shape alone,
Yeah.
I had become more and more cautious about showing anybody anything.
Sure. Yeah. So it's like late 90s, your brother Peter, and is that the brother who
Yes.
knew when okay. And drums, Rich Leggy?
No, drums was Rich. Drums was my brother Pete.
Oh, okay.
And Rich
Oh,
Leggy
bass.
was on bass.
Got it.
yeah.
Can't even read my own notes.
That's okay.
And then, and I'll get this right, I believe, on percussion, Phillip Jimenez.
Correct.
Which, don't at me.
No, that's how he pronounces
I
it.
just wanted.
Yeah, I've had some flack from this. It was this guy not know any pronunciation. No, Phil actually pronounces his name Jimenez. That's
Yep.
how he prefers it.
Sure.
So I honor that. But Phil was the most important early member because we were co-producing the record together.
Yeah.
We were combining. We were both kind of like burgeoning studio gearheads, and we combined our various toys and trinkets into something that could make a record. And there were different iterations of that all through the second half of the 90s until finally we combined all forces in the early spring or late winter of 2000
Yeah.
at my mother's
Mercury.
house.
Oh yeah, Mercury Lounge happens.
Well, the Mercury Lounge is, we played there a bunch of
and
times.
that's where you kind of got the record deal, right?
Yeah,
And
correct.
then,
Like I said, once every 4 months we had a show on a Friday or a Saturday night, and made sure that everybody had a place to go afterwards, and made sure that it was like this rare special event.
Sure.
And that was how we approached it. And it wasn't long before we had people who we didn't know lined up around the block. It happened really quickly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then so off of one of those shows, Kevin Patrick, Columbia Records,
Correct.
signs you to a deal.
Yep.
At which point you don't take the money and go produce it in a studio.
No.
You buy what you need to set it up in your mother's basement.
Yeah, they wanted to put our demo out. We had a 5-song CD sampler we were giving away at shows that I was burning on a tower that I built.
Awesome.
and they wanted to put that out as the record, and I was like, no, please give us some money and we'll re-record
And
it.
weren't they threatening that too? Like
Yeah, they said
they were like, if you don't have it out by this
that
day,
was
we're
very
gonna release this.
clear. If you don't, they said if you don't do better.
Oh.
If we don't think your
Even
record
more of a structure,
is
yeah.
better. Now, you know who made it really better, besides myself and Phil having done it and redone it 1,000 times, was David Thoner, who mixed the record.
So, and I wanted to ask you this, so basically, even that, you picked him because you wanted this to be some love child between For Those About to Rock by AC/DC and Missing You by John Waite, which he had mixed both
He
of
had
those.
mixed both songs, and I thought, Teenage Dirtbag kind of sits between those in terms of its shape and size.
And maybe mix in a little Weezer.
Maybe. For me, back then, it would have been much more of a Fugazi vibe. But if we were talking about the alternative rock side of the
Sure.
90s, or hardcore, Helmet,
Yeah, you said Helmet once and that other
Quicksand.
band. Quicksand, yes.
Yeah. So
I
Quicksand.
totally get some of that in there too.
Yeah. If Quicksand,
Especially towards the end of songs, like it just starts to.
yeah, we kind of
Yeah.
wrap it up like they do.
Right,
So
yeah.
not as good as they do it, but yeah, sure. So if Quicksand and Helmet and John Waite and For Those About to Rock came together,
All had a child.
all had a child
So I don't know how that would work.
with a little bit of LL Cool J and
definitely.
Public Enemy involved.
And
That
Mike
was-
Doty too. I mean,
Yes,
there's
Soul
soul coughing
Coughing
in there. Because I would say, based on all of that mixed together, you do achieve your own sound. Like you don't sound like somebody else. Any one of those, you might put your ear on something, but then it goes from verse to chorus, and it's somebody else entirely, which then kind of just conglomerates into a Wheatus sound.
Perhaps, yeah. It's hard for me to understand that because it's just you're mixing a recipe like cement or something.
Right.
Well, and it hardens, and that's when the record's out, and you can't do anything about it.
There's definitely a good metaphor in there somewhere.
Sure. Yeah. Be sure to sign your name in it when it's still wet.
Right, exactly, yeah. So that album obviously has Teenage Dirtbag. We touched on it a little bit at the top. That's recorded in that basement on a guitar from the 1800s, at least portions of it.
Yes. The clean acoustic guitar you hear in the verse is an 1890s Bay State parlor guitar that my friend Rick Brucalari rebuilt because somebody had turned it in where I used to apprentice under Rick at Murphy's Music in,
Awesome.
in Melville. And
Let's get nerdy.
Yeah.
Let's get music nerdy.
Okay, yeah. So kind of first job out of college, well, the first job out of college was cleaning pools, but second job or third job out of college was working as an apprentice under Bob Murphy and Rick Brucoleri and a guy named Richie at Murphy's Music in Walt Whitman.
Yeah.
And
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I learned how
Route 110.
I learned how to glue wood properly and set up a guitar, and I learned all of the stuff that you don't know.
Right.
And when we got the record deal, well, actually before that, I was kind of like shopping around for quirky acoustics because I wanted something different for the acoustic sound. And Rick said, "Oh boy!" I walked in and he said, "I got something for you." And he had this old couple bring in a pair of guitars that were smashed, that had been totally ruined.
Wow.
And they donated them to the store.
Sure.
And the base date had been caved in. The neck and the body were cracked inward like this at the joint.
Got it.
So a really catastrophic.
Sure.
Like
Tough to get that back.
Yeah, like it might be firewood kind of moment.
Right.
But Rick put Humpty Dumpty back together again, and if you look at that guitar, you can see all the lines that he glued, the crack lines in the center, and he put the heel back on, and that's the 100+ million-year-old guitar.
And so you still have it to this day?
I still have it, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it still sounds great.
It sounds incredible.
Yeah.
I when we did the re-record, I used it again.
Yeah, you had to.
Yeah, and the acoustic, so it's the acoustic sound of Teenage Dirtbag.
Yeah, and one more music nerdy moment. So you don't like electric guitars.
I do not like electric guitars.
And
I
so-
have some that are really
Sure.
strange, but yeah.
But pretty much from what I could tell, the only moment of an electric guitar in all of your catalog is like an overdub on the song Sunshine of this
Correct.
album.
That is correct. Yeah, the
So-
only properly electric guitar on the first album is the high octave of the licks in Sunshine, and it's a Fernandez. It's a late '90s Fernandez Stratocaster.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's
And
a couple. I'm sorry, you have a couple electric guitars on like Valentine. Right?
Yeah, later on,
One or two.
Valentine is mostly electric guitar,
Got it.
but like I said, it's a Supro Sahara from 1961 that I put the Paul Reed Smith pickup system into.
Awesome.
So it's not available on the market.
Sure.
And it's got a weird.
It's a BBB special.
It's a strange O.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of acoustic qualities because it's made out of hollow fiberglass. So it's like a weird.
Yeah,
O.
I can see it.
Yeah.
That fits the vibe.
And the output of those pickups is like way higher than was ever meant for that guitar.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. And so how do you make that the acoustic guitar sound the way it does? Because I think most people listen to it and think you're shredding an electric.
The different preamps over the years. The one on the first album was a Sansamp PSA1, the original
Sure.
Tech 21 NYC preamp, digital recall, analog knobs, and I toured with those. Then I switched over to the Digitech 2120 Artist preamp, which was I think pioneered by Alex Lifeson, and I had two of those, one for clean, one for dirty, we ran out of juice on those in 2014, approximately. They started.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
They stopped making them, and we were keeping them alive. And then the internal batteries, all the capacitors started to go, and it was like they were dying faster than we could bring them back to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we migrated over to a guitar. Overloud makes a guitar suite, guitar studio called THU.
Okay.
It was TH2 back then. Now it was TH3. Now it's THU. But we use now. I'm using multiple iterations of THU that I'm actually summing within the last 6 months using the Guitar ML Google capture pedal. I don't know if you go to guitarml.com and look at the smart pedal. But you have to make them.
Oh wow!
And my friend Celtic Johnson in Florida is one by one running my signal paths, the old signal paths and the new ones, through the analog gear and capturing the sounds in the smart pedal.
Wow.
It's like a Kemper, but it's much more sophisticated, and it's a VST3.
That is so fascinating. Thank you so much for diving into that. We have a good bit of music nerds or musicians who tune in, and I often hear from people like, "Thank you for getting a little music nerdy." So
sure,
we'd like to get in the weeds on this show.
But to go from acoustic to crunch,
sure,
I morph using Ernie Ball volume pedals. I have 3 of them: clean to dirty to radioactive,
filthy,
and then a wah or like flanger or something as a third one.
So fun.
And we use the what is it called? The Morningstar controller.
MIDI controller.
Oh, yeah.
Control all the
Yeah.
computer stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing. Again, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And so at this point, that song gets out, and like you talked about, it's number 1 in Australia, it's number 2 in UK. It does fairly well here in the States, but it just kind of blows up all over the place, and it's got to be a life-changing moment, right?
Yeah, well, we got pretty worn out touring the States. I remember this one show in Lawrence, Kansas, where we debuted Lemonade, and there was 2 people who thought we were Smash Mouth. So like it was one of those, like, the record had come out, it had done its thing,
Right.
Nothing was happening, and then Australia and the UK
okay.
happened afterwards.
Got
so
it.
we had this healthy
So it
chunk
was
of time.
a flare-up.
Yeah, it was a flare-up. Yeah, it was like, well, when we wound up going to Australia, we were in the mindset that it was over.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I can totally imagine. But then you get there, and like you said, you're treated like a extremely successul, famous person.
Extremely, who let these people in? Kind of like, what's going on here? Like, yeah, that. Yeah.
And is that also when you play the Prince Charles Trust Party?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I accidentally got invited to do that. And,
The self-deprecation. But so that ends up being for like over 11 million people. Like
Yeah.
200,000 in person and 11 million.
yeah, it was 250,000 in Hyde Park,
I got you. Yeah.
and right in front of us, and a television audience was 11 million.
Amazing. I mean, that's just got to be so
It
amazing.
was crazy, and then we came back home to Mom's house, where nobody knew who we were. It was like that.
Yeah. So forgive me for not knowing this for sure, but I want to start involving other members of the band, because at this point, it's
please do.
Well, it's like you and the people who we mentioned before up until this point.
Right.
And where do we start incorporating some of the other members here?
Matthew joined 2006.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you must obviously know the band. How are you getting connected to them?
I had a friend who, I was familiar with the band, but I had a friend who saw Brendan in the audience at an AC/DC concert and walked up to him and asked for a photo.
Nice.
And Brendan tells the story thinking that my friend was actually going to punch him.
Yeah, I
because
thought I was going to get punched.
He couldn't believe that he was recognized at an AC/DC show and thought,
I was
thought
like,
he was there
that
to
was
clock him.
those were the days of like punching your friends, like Bam Margera.
Yeah.
And I was like, I took one look at Craig, and I was like,
yeah.
this dude is gonna definitely punch me
Right.
as soon as the picture gets taken.
Yeah.
But he turned out to be sincere, and yeah, it was like that. So
As Brendan was saying, he doesn't get recognized that often, so to get recognized in the pit at an AC/DC show, I think
yeah,
was
it's like
pretty
something's
surprising.
wrong with it. Something's happened. Something's bad.
So then
It's
they
bad.
really hit it off, and then the bass player was leaving, and Brendan kind of mentioned it in passing, and Craig gave him my number. I was in music school at the time, but I was a fan and came
Right.
in and auditioned, and here I am.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
And I told you not to do it.
you did. Brendan basically begged me not to take this job.
I have this opening, but please don't take it.
Yeah,
I was like, you don't want to do
Yeah.
so
it.
you don't want any part of this.
Right. And 18 years later,
Yeah.
still
Yeah,
doing it.
Here I am.
And so before we get to the next person, this times out exactly perfectly, timing-wise and story-wise.
Sure.
Okay.
So 2005, I'm going to speed it up a little bit because
Yeah.
I know you guys need to get ready for your set later. 2005, you had a dispute with the record company. They were not they were under promoting.
It was 02, 03.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of parted ways. You had released an album called Hand Over Your Loved Ones,
Yeah.
which then you re-released under the name Suck Phony,
Right.
which is hilarious. And I learned for 2 reasons.
Right.
So the first one, obviously, is if you transpose the letters, you'll get a good story
Right.
that I don't probably think we need to spend much time on. But the
They'll
other
figure it
part is that you actually got it more from a story where you were playing in like Scandinavia somewhere.
Yeah, a Viking in Finland.
So yeah, it was a black metal show.
Yeah, it was like, hey, we had played in the States.
I love
This was great. This is such a this is right up our alley. So,
because it speaks to getting into a real fight.
yeah,
Well,
we
almost.
we played the Indy Raceway for the X Fest in Indiana, and we were direct support to Green Day and Stone Temple Pilots, and that was one of the strange things we did in the States that actually worked. But obviously there wasn't a lot of that. About 12 months later, we blew up overseas, and their management and booking agents invited us to do direct support in a Arctic Circle, northern Finland midnight festival, which we thought was going to be great. And 2 weeks before the show, Stone Temple Pilots and Green Day both canceled their tours. Their whole worldwide tour was canceled. I think there was rehab happening
Sure.
at somebody, and
Certainly makes sense for STP.
yeah,
timing-wise.
yeah, or something. And we were super bummed. But then the Finnish promoter called us up and said, "We want you to headline. Teenage Dirtbag is big enough. Your second single's doing well. We want you to headline this." And what he didn't tell us was that in order to make up for like the fact that Green Day and Stone Temple were no longer on the bill, he switched it over to a black metal festival, which apparently in Finland you
Big
can
deal.
always sell tickets for, right?
Sure.
So what we were doing headlining,
you're headlining.
yeah, and we didn't know until like the day before, because we looked at some of the other
A little late
bands.
to learn a few black metal
Yeah,
songs.
man, like, and I was like,
Or
this,
transpose.
I was
You need a black metal version of
Tune
like
everything
Teenage
way
Dirtbag.
down.
right, yeah, dropped F. But so we're doing our thing on stage, and they hate us, like, and the sun is up at midnight, and it's
Right,
weird. But you know, the crowd's really pissed, in the English sense of the word, and in the angry sense
Both,
of the word.
exactly.
Right. So, and they drink there in the Arctic Circle like we can only read about in
Like
Lord
Vikings.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Right.
So we, I got hit in the chest with like, it was basically like a half a Belgian block.
Yeah, not a small.
No, it was really
Incoming
big.
shrapnel.
And it knocked the wind out of me, and if it was 3 inches, 4 inches taller, or higher, it would
Taken you out.
Yeah, it would have broke my jaw. So, you know, I'm kind of like a little bit irritable at this point, and I said, dumbly, the guy who threw that, if he wants to fight on stage, come on up. And this is like
then Thor
7
starts
foot
to come
tall.
out.
Yeah, Thor is coming at me, and he's got 3 or 4 security on him, and he's getting past them. Right? He's totally like not worried about this. He's carrying them on his shoulders, and he's gonna totally annihilate me. And I was like, well, this is how it ends, and at least somebody will write something about it.
That's amazing.
So he gets up to the stage and he's screaming, "You suck, phony."
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, this is the perfect only English this guy knows. This is great. What a title. You know? Like, so
I love that in the moment of possibly getting completely whooped by a Viking.
so
You're thinking of, that's a great album title.
yeah. So our front of house guy comes back after and he's like, "Whoa, guys, that was pretty rough." And I recorded it. And somewhere there's a DAT
I've never heard that.
in the
You gotta
attic
find that.
somewhere. And I said, we have to release that as a live record and call it Suck Phony.
Totally.
Because you could probably hear the guy screaming.
Yeah.
So that's that story.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that story. That's why I definitely was so glad we got to that one. So, who's the next person to join the band, like timing-wise, after 05?
Joey?
No, it'd be Joey Gas.
Oh, right, but you were in the organization earlier than that. So that's why I thought of it that way.
Right.
But Gabrielle was next to actually musician join.
Got it.
What year was that?
2011.
Got it.
I was doing a commercial jingle recording with an Australian girl singer, and we became friends, and then all of a sudden I had like 15 Australian girl singer friends, and one of them was a former backing vocalist for Wheatus.
Got it.
And she did a solo show one night at Rockwood Music Hall in Manhattan. And that's where I met Brendan. I did not know the band. I did not know Brendan, but we kind of struck up a conversation and we started a relationship, and I joined the band.
All at once.
Yeah.
All at once.
Really?
And moved in.
I moved
Two,
in.
2 weeks later.
You leaned all in on that one.
Big day.
Yeah. And what is that, 12 years ago now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, excellent.
so, yeah.
Yep.
And then you have your own music, your solo music
do,
as well,
yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
is that just called Gabrielle's?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Gabrielle Sturmans. I have a record that is very close to being done.
Very cool.
So hopefully that'll come out soon.
Yeah. Look forward to hearing that. And then, so who's next? After a
Joey
2011?
Joey was next to join.
I met Brendan a long time ago, and I started working for the band in 2007,
Uh-huh.
and then joined as a backing vocalist in 2015.
15.
Yes,
Yeah.
Right.
so 8 years.
Right.
So great.
Yeah, but we've known each other since 2004,
Something.
like that.
I started out as a fan, so that I would go to shows, and that's how
Sure.
I originally met Brendan.
Right. So there you go. If you're a fan of a band, just go to shows, and
Well,
after
so we-
about 10 years or so, you can be, in on it.
It does happen. It does happen.
It does happen.
And then Brandon and Casey, when did you guys join?
I joined in 2017.
Forward.
A friend of mine did sound for them, and I played keyboards for him, and he threw my name into the hat when they were looking for a new keyboard player.
Right.
And
Trying to get out of his way.
I know.
that
So
that
hard.
was it.
No, but when he joined, he got in the van with donuts.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
that's
brought
right.
donuts.
It was like the scene in Forrest Gump when Jenny gets in the van and just takes off with people. They literally pulled up in a van, and I closed my front door and just like got in the van with donuts and croissants.
It wasn't so much that Brandy joined the band, it was more like we abducted him from
Yeah.
From wherever.
Memphis.
It was
Plucked him off
weird.
the perch. And
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
so I'm sensing a lot of coercion in joining.
No, he was very compliant.
No, okay.
Just got right in and made himself at home.
Yeah, well, he was like, okay, I have donuts. I'm sick of being in Memphis. Let's go to New York. And he had no idea what he was getting himself involved
No
in.
idea. I would have stayed in that house and pretended like I was not home.
Exactly.
Wait, can I tell a story about Brandy's joining?
Yeah,
the
yeah,
band? So we finally got to New York after a very long drive in the van, and it had been a horrible snowstorm.
Oh, God, it was a
And
blizzard.
Brandy
In Pennsylvania.
and
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Brandy and I got out of the van because Brendan, the only way for him to get the van and trailer like up the driveway that was covered with ice, he had to sort of like come from up the hill and kind of gun it, and then and Brandy and I were walking up the driveway, and all of a sudden we see Brendan is hurling downhill
And can't
now
hit the brakes.
up the driveway, and I'm realizing, oh my God, he's gonna make it, and he's gonna have to press on the brakes because we're in the way. We're
Right.
in the driveway, and I grabbed Brandy and I was come on, let's go, and we had to get out
Nothing
of
like
the
hearing
way.
somebody's yell "run" when you're on ice, trying to go uphill.
And you're like the cartoon character,
Yeah,
your feet are just
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was his welcome.
Welcome to the band.
So here
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
Excellent. And
Casey?
Are you blocking my
No.
You can hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No. We go like this. Go like this.
There you go.
And then you come
That's
over.
good.
Here we go.
That's
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
So I am coming up on about 1 year.
Nice.
Joining the band. I'm a newbie. But there was a sound guy from my hometown. His name's Bill. From Spokane, and he apparently went on a tour last summer with these guys doing sound for Everclear.
Cool.
And they were the opener, and Brendan became pretty good friends with Bill. And then one day, randomly, I got this phone call from Bill, and he never really calls me or anything, or touches base.
why didn't you text?
He just I just answer the phone, I'm like, what's up, dude? He just doesn't ask how I'm doing or anything.
No, right,
He just
yeah.
cuts to the chase. He's like, yo, there's this band, they need a drummer, okay, what's the band, And he's like, Wheatus. And then he just I was like, all right, well, I'm down. Just let me know.
Right.
Sounds great. And then, within an hour or two, I think Brendan was texting me, and I looked up Wheatus and knew the Teenage Dirtbag song and
course.
everything, and then within a couple weeks, I think they flew me out to New York, and I just learned as many songs as I could before getting there, and
And you were like, I don't know, you guys aren't emo enough.
I was like, what's happening?
Casey is another person who is are you interested in joining this band? Well, see how you feel. Just move to New York for 2 or 3 months. That's exactly what Brandy did. I'm only realizing the connection is we just basically take these people far from home. Yeah.
It's basically,
We strand them in a strange place. They don't
Right.
know where they are or what they're doing.
what was that show, Lost? Was that?
Yeah.
Lost? Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Stuck on the island.
Yep.
That's it.
But no, awesome. Thank you all for sharing your origin story.
Yeah, there you go.
But I was wondering, why don't we jump to a song, because I think we are at a lull of surrounding
I
music.
think now's a good
Yeah.
time.
So let's take advantage of this, because we're about to even get to the release of the LP, Valentine LP, and you were going to play Valentine.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, the title track. It's my fave.
Yeah, this is one of your favorites to play, so we're honored
Exactly.
to have it today.
I'm gonna make sure that I'm in tune here first, and so that when the other music starts, we might know
And
where
on the
we are.
Wheatus branded guitar.
Yes, on the Brian Neville W model. Here we go.
Perfect. All right.
Wait, hold on. Sorry.
I'll just do a little bit of it so you can hear what key we're in here.
That's
Okay.
great. Always like to know what I'm doing before we start.
My city wakes up in the afternoon like the rain came down in the month of June. Kings of muttering atmosphere, building bombshell towers with glass and fear. Yeah, here. My city wakes up to a poison moon, like the radio never played a tune. I'll gather dust, scatter crazy glue. Will I build a house big enough for two? Yeah, you. From the outside looking in, sometimes I worry I waited too long. Sunshine, won't you please be my Valentine? Come and give me your peace of mind. When will I be loved? We'll learn to hunt in the canyon shade, underneath skyscrapers and cars they made. And if our plan doesn't go just right, we will hatch another one-night night. All right. We'll book vacations and holidays, and then we'll act them out in the woods for days. And if some God ever finds me here, I believe in you, my dear. Yeah, you. From the outside looking in, sometimes I worry I waited too long. Sunshine, won't you please be my Valentine? Come and give me your peace of mind. When will I be loved? You in this dark tower, you up ahead of me. Yeah, you in darkest hour, you will be the light of me. Yeah, you in planting flowers, you in passing
really special.
Thanks, man. Was this mix okay in the ears?
It was.
there?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
No, I mean, it really. After I moved the mic, it was beautiful.
We got lucky. I think the song being played behind us is also in D.
I was
I
noticing
think it
last
actually is, yeah.
I've never imagined Valentine with just like a funky bass solo.
Yeah.
And we accomplished it.
I mean, the bass line is a funky bass solo.
I think he does it better. I think he does it better.
We would have been really screwed if it was in like F.
Yeah, A minor.
Yeah, it would have been a problem.
Yeah. No, that's been. I love how the universe just takes care of you.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have a little time? I know, like, you guys
We
got
got a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
Sure.
Okay, because there were like 2 other
Yeah, go
topics
for it,
I
go
wanted
for
to
it.
touch on, and they all kind of they kind of correlate with these flare-ups. So,
Yeah.
the next flare-up happens 2008. The HBO miniseries Generation Kill uses Teenage Dirtbag. Boom, things explode
Sure.
again.
Yes.
Around that time, you're asked to write and score some music for the movie April Showers.
Right.
And I just
Yes.
thought that was something important to touch on, both moment in the career, but also topic-wise of gun control. So I
Sure, yeah. But that's another podcast entirely.
Totally fine. Listen, we can set that one up. But
Yeah, I would love to do that, but
so April Showers, just real quick, was created and or directed by a survivor of Columbine.
correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Who reached out to me and asked me if I could be involved. It got real deep real fast.
Sure.
And before I knew it, it wasn't just licensing a song. It was more, can you score this? So he was brave enough to share the soundtrack, or rather the clip he needed scored
Sure.
with me, which is unfortunately a suicide scene.
Yeah, right.
And a bit to illustrate the casualties that occurred after the traumatic event. And
the echoes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I spent a couple of days watching this grim real life scene and trying to come up with something to it, and
Sure.
wound up with a song called Now.
Right. Which is beautiful.
Right, and I intended it
Yeah.
to be I intended that to be a solo acoustic song. But I got so depressed during it that I wanted Matthew to come over, so I made a bass line for it so he would come over. And
He needed a comfort bass.
yeah, and Matthew wound up outdoing the song really, because we got layers and layers of upright bowed
Sure.
5-string fretless bass on there.
It's an
It's an
stunning,
upright. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a great song. Like
Thank you,
it
yeah.
really, people need to check that one out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then you also wrote "You and Your Stupid Guitar."
Right, that was
Right.
that was a song we had been working on that felt a little bit more lighthearted for the parts of the film that precede the shooting.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Because they were asking for Teenage Dirtbag. There was some, I think, licensing stuff or whatever. It was just better for you to write new stuff for it.
Yeah.
And that makes sense that this song was almost like a derivation off of that, and then the other song more for the scoring of that scene.
Yeah.
It was a nice moment. It was a good, like you said, these different moments over the years of
Yeah.
like a reminder. Like it really means a lot when someone comes out of nowhere just to be like, I really like what you do, and I want to like, in some of our like tougher moments.
Sure.
It felt like something like that always happens. Someone came out of the woodwork who wanted to do
Right,
something,
right.
and we were like, oh wow, we must be doing something right if we're getting
Right.
these people coming to us who want to do things together. Like
Totally.
that was a nice moment. Like that came at a good time. where
Yeah, that was
we really did. It meant a lot.
That was the first, or one of the first of my favorite kinds of the Heidi Klum type
Sure.
interaction, where somebody just genuinely wants to be a part of the music or form an artistic connection.
Yeah.
Relationship.
It's got to be validating.
It is.
Yeah.
Chris Caraba from Dashboard did that for us.
Sure.
We're playing with them this summer later
Awesome.
on. This,
Very cool.
July 30th. Are we doing that, Matthew?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got all those dates in my head.
Yeah.
Savant like recall.
Yeah.
And both of those songs are on Pop Songs and Death.
Right.
Which
Yes.
was a release at the time. Initially got released as 2 volumes. Now is kind of available as one. Streaming doesn't make it
Correct.
an
Yeah.
issue anyway. But
Correct.
So if you want to hear those songs, and again, I felt like each one of these albums that you've released are also kind of have a different, I don't know what the right word would be, vibe, tonality,
It's almost
whatever.
like they were made by different bands. We took different approaches to them.
Sure, it's very, very cool. People
Yeah.
as they listen through.
Yeah.
Then the next flare-up happens. One Direction covers Teenage Dirtbag
Yep.
in the heyday of One Direction.
Yes.
And it's in their movie, and they were playing it on stage. So once again, gigantic explosion.
Yes. At the dawn of the Twitter age.
Got it.
So that was an interesting
and
time.
whatever your take is on that. Then Valentine, the Valentine LP comes out, and there was a quote here that I just took down: reconstituting society, fighting zombies, and trying to maintain some kind of romantic relationship at the same time.
Yeah, post-apocalyptic love songs.
Yeah.
That's what.
You've
That's
really done your research, by the way.
Yeah.
Well done. Like, you are pulling quotes that are blowing my mind.
And the other funny part about that is, like, then you obviously were prescient because people needed that kind of music in the pandemic.
That's true.
more than we were comfortable with.
I know.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
truly.
My son was a high school kid, and his like first relationship was happening right in the beginning of so he like just met a girl, like kissed for the first time, and then that happens, and now they're like, ah! So like we were coming up with like all these like the cover of like Love in the Time of Cholera and making it Love in the Time of Corona.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, man.
Yeah.
he's gonna hate me telling this story.
Hey, you know.
But anyway, so the other thing that I really wanted to get to here was super cool. We talked about it before we came on. My one of my favorite bands of all time is Soul Coughing.
Yeah.
Mike Doty also as a solo artist. And I went to see a show in 2017, World Cafe Live here in Philadelphia. And you guys opened, but not just opened, you were also his backing band.
Yes.
And I have this kind of cool video, but as this plays, maybe tell us kind of maybe a little bit what's going on, because there's some cool stuff. Gabrielle, you're calling out some stuff, and
Well, what is really happening here is Gabrielle is in charge. That's what's happening.
it's almost like a conductor of a.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We would do like, Mike would have this improvisational thing where he would choose a song and one person would be direct. So with hand signals, you would have certain musicians start or stop at different times, and so that this is just me like deciding who's going to start or stop, and it's really, really fun.
Yeah, and you're calling everybody out there, and then now they're all
And
coming
then
back
yeah,
in.
so like that little whip around is like everybody come back in.
And it really was these moments of like you were almost orchestrating.
Yeah.
Where it
Super
was
fun.
it was not just improv or scatting or just making stuff up in the moment. You were almost like creating a song. It was very cool because it had ups and downs and so on. And you guys even took turns. Other people did the calling and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
we all
We would take turns doing it. It was sort of like Mike often liked to describe it as doing like a live remix.
Sure.
But also some orchestrations we had a call like this would be like make it more complicated.
Right.
You could do a call like just do something totally different, or like go back to the previous thing you were doing because I liked that more.
Right.
You were like when you're conducting, you suddenly realize how much there was to do in
Sure.
any given moment, and it's like kind of overwhelming for a second
Yep.
because also you're playing an instrument too, so it's like it was a
Yeah.
wild
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
But when it was good, and of course there's moments like some were better than others, but there were moments where someone would do something and I will never forget like us looking at each other and being like, oh my god, that was so cool. Like those moments just felt so genuine. It was incredible.
I must confess to being the worst at it when I was picked as the conductor.
Classic self-deprecating.
There you go.
No. I mean, it
There
was
goes
true. It was,
BBB again.
no.
There you go.
It's just true. It's just plainly true that
That
Sturbins,
time I was talking to John Mayer about this.
Sturbins was the best at that. And really, I think that's good. It's fortunate you captured one of her
Sure.
being in charge, because that's as good as it got for my experience. And I
Right.
always felt like I couldn't get the timing right on my idea and who to tell it to.
And that's like what you were talking about, Matthew. Was there's just like these moments of just like, holy crap, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
like at a good show we would have a couple of them, but I feel like even at any show there was at least one where we all would be like, that was the best that's ever been.
Right.
It was so like an incredible way to keep the material feeling fresh at
Yes.
all the times. It was so unpredictable
Sure.
how the shows were
And it was
gonna
what I always liked going to multiple shows just because you weren't going to see the same thing
go.
twice.
You're never gonna see it twice
Yeah.
the same way.
So yeah, it was definitely something I've seen a couple times and always enjoyed it. And that was what even reintroduced me back to Wheatus, because you were opening and I was just like, damn, I've forgotten how much I liked all this music. So from 2017 on, it's been something that I got reintroduced to through Mike Doty.
That's amazing. Thank
yeah.
you.
very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, there you go. And so wanted to definitely promote the fact that the main reason why I was excited to get in touch with you is the show is not based in Bethlehem or the Lehigh Valley, but that's where we get a lot of our like pipeline of opportunity. And
Yeah.
so you're playing Musikfest this
We
year,
are, yes.
which is amazingly dope.
Yes.
Because it's, as everyone knows, because we talk about it so much, but it's a free festival. So this is a night where you're going to get to come see Wheatus for free at 9:30 on Friday, August 11th. But the festival starts at noon, so like you can see free music all day. tie one on because there's plenty of beer around, lots of delicious food from food trucks. But then I just can't wait for that set. I mean, to be on that massive stage. So have you played the Bethlehem before?
Never. I don't think we.
I think the band has played Bethlehem once or twice, probably with Eve 6 back in the day.
Got it. So we have this beautiful stage. It's a Levitt Foundation stage, and it's in front of Bethlehem. Used to have Bethlehem Steel, and so it's a town that has this massive. Basically, they look like dinosaurs. There's these massive. I don't even know how tall. 3-story structures that are the old foundry, and it's rusted out and urban decay, and it's beautiful. It's actually in like movies like the Transformers and RoboCop and stuff like that. Yeah, and so you're in this awesome stage, and the backdrop of it is this gorgeous, again, like, you know, urban decay thing. Beautiful in a strange way. But and then for Musikfest, we get like 100,000 people a day to come out for this stuff.
Whoa.
I would say I've heard. I've never been. I've heard such great things about it. As soon as we booked it, I was so stoked because it's been. I've been wanting to go just to check it out for years. So
if you have time on either end, come a day early or stay a day late. Like it's a really fun festival to just check out.
Cool.
And again, all the free, and there's 2 sections to it, so you'll be on the south side portion. That's where it's mostly like the there's a headliner every night that's a paid ticket. It's the only one. But then there's 12 other, probably more, stages of free performances. Most of that is north side.
Right.
And then, like I said, this Levitt stage that you'll be on is the other free stage on the south side. Too much information for you right now.
No, that's it. That's cool. Thank you for telling us.
But they shut down the town. It is so much fun. Again, people have a good time. It's safe. It's clean. It's a really, really cool festival. And so anybody else who wants to come see Wheatus for free,
yes, please do.
That Friday night, the 11th, that'll be closing weekend. The only thing to warn you about is it'll probably be 9,000 degrees.
Perfect.
Hey, you know.
Right.
To be fair, we're at 9:30. It'll be cooler.
Yeah, it will be cooler. But it seems to always be the luck of Musikfest that it's like the hottest 10 days of the summer. Just some other quick fun facts that I found. The band name comes from what your father used to call you and your brother.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a devolved iteration of the word little.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So, and we where were some of my other fun tidbits here? It sounds like you've gone commando since 1988.
That is a fun tidbit.
Yeah. Which I believe came with the quote, "Free ball or fuck off."
Once again, the research is very.
Oh my God! Did I actually say that?
I mean,
that's rough.
I didn't say that.
The meter.
No, I know you didn't say it.
And then open for bands like you've opened for James Brown, Joey Ramone. I'm sure a ton of others. I don't know if you want to mention some of the other amazing people you've opened for.
I mean, we've been super lucky. 2 weeks ago, we were direct support to Paramore at a Jason Festival.
Fantastic.
And before us was Pup, one of my favorite bands. So like we're lucky. We just keep getting lucky and being in places that are wonderful.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this is another favorite one of mine. On the first album, there was a song called Punk Ass Bitch.
Yes.
Which I loved. And when you hear Punk Ass Bitch, obviously you think children's cartoons.
Yeah.
And
really.
Someone thought that would be a great song to be the closing credits to the Jackie Chan Adventures.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Which had lyrics like, you're full of baloney, that you're a stupid shit ass, a meathead Guido pass gas. You've got no class,
I
no
didn't
style.
write that song, right?
Well, I didn't know that, but
Okay,
I'm just more laughing at the fact that like someone's at home listening to that going, I'm thinking kids cartoon, and specifically Jackie Chan.
So Rich Leegee, our first bass player, wrote that song.
Okay.
And as a long-standing act of goodwill and compromise in the band, I'm the primary songwriter, but anybody and everybody can bring a song to the table. They just have to be prepared to do what Sturbans was doing on stage with Dodie and tell everybody how it goes. Right. So, and the most recent Lost Songs series from the 2020 reissue, Joey Slater here did a song called Through.
Nice.
Wrote it, finished it, developed it, brought it to its finish line, and told us all how to play it. And that's kind of like a long since the first album.
Sure.
You know? Mike McCabe did that with Dynamite Satchel of Pain on his second album.
Got it.
But Punk Ass Bitch was a song where Rich said to me, I don't even want you to play guitar on this. Not in a bad way, but he was like, this is my vision and I want to do it. And I was like, that's great. I'm gonna go catch some sleep because I'm exhausted. So it's like that, and that's how that song came to be. And yes, somebody thought that it was a good idea to
I
turn it
did,
into a cartoon theme
because
song.
I'm just going through it, I'm like, yeah, this is good. And then I'm like, wait, it became Chan's the Man.
Chan's the Man.
It did.
Which, at the end here, I'll edit together like a combo of the original Punk Ass Bish with the rewrite for Jackie Chan's, and check it out. And then the last thing, I guess, to good wrap up is that first album was re-released 2020, right? And then
we started.
It had 10 extra tracks that you found.
Yes.
Like
so 18 of the 20 total are currently on Spotify.
Got it.
When we're finished with 19 and 20, we're going to repackage it, remaster it for vinyl, and release it as what was intended to be the 2020 anniversary set,
right?
Which will be more like the 2023 or 24 anniversary set. And it's the original 10 songs that you know from album 1 plus the 2 B-sides.
Got it.
Minus Punk Ass Bitch in the cover because I didn't think that it was appropriate.
Yeah.
And 10 other songs like Through, in which Through is counts itself as a member of these 10 other songs that like through the years kind of felt like they belonged on album 1, and that's why we didn't do them. So it's like a Lost Songs
that's fantastic.
Alternate universe.
I can't wait
album.
for that to come out.
Since the gist of this was people who maybe know Teenage Dirtbag but don't know the other catalog, I thought maybe it would be fun if we threw out a couple song titles that people could
That's
check
a great
out
idea.
if they wanted to.
Yes, because actually this will help me too. So there's a Spotify playlist that I usually put out.
Nice.
It's called 3 to See if you like them. So it's like 3 to See. So I'll make this one longer than 3. But if anybody wants to recommend, like, what do you think is a quintessential Wheatus song?
We mentioned Through,
right?
Texas. That's
Amoeba.
Whole Amoeba. That's true.
Whole Amoeba.
Lemonade. I was thinking about this.
Yeah. And I'm definitely gonna put Valentine on there too, because then they can always listen to the recording and the acoustic version here. Matthew, anything you would want to throw out there?
There's a song called "I Am What I Is" that I would say that was the song when I met Brendan. He played me that song, and that was that was the song where I was like, I need to join this band because I loved it so much. That's the one for me.
Absolutely.
That song for me was Whole Amoeba and In the Melody.
And In the Melody, that's also a good one.
And
I really like to Fall in Love.
Fall in Love.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so my favorite is Break It, Don't Buy It.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you for that. That's a favorite of ours
You
too.
may actually hear that today if you stick around.
Yeah, that is. I think that's on the docket, right?
Yep.
Spoilers.
Right, yeah. Well, and one of the spoilers was you're not going to hear Valentine.
Right. Yeah,
so
we talked about it, and exactly.
Well, the beauty is that if you are here and you don't hear it, then just tune into our show and you'll get to hear this version. But yeah, no, this was such an honor. Thank you all for joining.
Thanks for having
being
us.
patient while we found a space and getting creative together.
All good.
This was such a wonderful experience for me. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us on.
See ya.
Bye.